I'd like to express my humble gratitude for those of you who have made it out to this very momentous occasion. As a homeless person 10 years ago, I never thought that I would be stood here doing this. Solemnly, I must confess, this is how I imagine one would feel waiting for the gallows. But to see so many familiar faces and new friends here to show their support, it gives me a lot of confidence, as does the wine. This is to you, thank you. Score! So tonight is going to be a very dignified reading. I shall read you dignified prose in a dignified way, and we shall comport ourselves as ladies and gentlemen of culture. So the title, Days of Debauchery, pretty much speaks for itself. Debauchery being the excessive use of sex, drugs and alcohol, or in some people's cases, most of them. Sex, drugs and alcohol. But my question as a recovering addict would be, what do you call excessive? For me, there was never enough. For an addict, there is never enough. So, this is, I have to condense 107,000 words into 10 minutes. So I'm going to jump into about the middle of the book and just to sort of fill you in briefly. It's the first 20 years of my life, basically, and domestic issues, teenage angst. So, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Am I speaking clearly enough?
Yes.
That'll do. So the chapter is called Pandora's Poppy. Heroin. It's my wife and it's my life. Opiates? Nah, never. Even in my deepest, darkest times of despair, when I diminished at least 99% of self-preservation, allowing myself to slip and slide down the spiralling descent of drug abuse, there remained a barrier at the bottom of the abyss, saying, don't choose heroin. Whatever shred of sense still remained ensconced behind my dilapidated face still managed to question what's even remotely fucking appealing about the scene. Worth approximately $321.6 billion worldwide in 2003, this home-wrecking industry of poison spreads like an epidemic through the veins of our societies. But why do people pick up the needle in the first place? Not for the blood disease and the infected track marks, the tourniquets and burnt spoons, the overdoses and junkie-born babies shaking and screaming in incubators. So why? In my case, the grim realities became apparent witnessing my beloved sister, cold turkey from a crack and smack addiction, resorted to selling herself on the ghetto streets of Chapeltown, Leeds. She narrowly escaped being sent to prison while she was still pregnant with her first child. Her boyfriend, Derek, fortunately sacrificed 3 years of his life after taking the rap for both of them, after they robbed people at knife point while they withdrew money from cash machines to fuck her. All that trouble just to feed their habits of £200 to £300 a day each. After 8 months of being regarded as a missing person by the police, Linda, my sister, finally arrived home late one chilly evening in 2006, collapsing on our doorstep like a sack of decomposing skin, too weak to even pick herself back up again. Watching as my parents cried at her return, I tried to work out whether their tears were of salvation or of sorrow. Bringing her back into the warmth and loving atmosphere of our family's home, we pulled together, taking it in turns to guard over her in the bath, helping to wash away the sickening smell of stale semen, sweat and the stench of heroin, like putrid cat piss creeping out of her skin. Finally, after the month's worth of filth that clung to her matted hair like lice had been shampooed and rinsed, her scabbed skin like a leper's eventually scrubbed down clean again, revealing nothing but a greyish transparent membrane sticking to her bones. We lifted her out. Weighing only 5 stone at 23 years old, this was not particularly difficult, just mentally exhausting. "What the hell happened to you, Linda? I'm so glad that you're home. I missed you," I'd said, unable to cry. I rarely could. And at this point I need to skip on a little bit due to the time restriction, but in the meantime, my family basically attempted to murder her boyfriend, stabbed him in the throat, left him for dead, tied him to the railway tracks. We're moving on. Just like that. The extent of heroin's exploitation over the weak-minded was no longer just on the news like a horror story told to children. This was tangible. The pain sentient in the room next to me. "Make it stop! Make it stop! I need to go out! I need a hit! Just one more fucking hit! Please, I want to die!" Not that I want to come across as all sanctimonious after some of the shit situations I've inflicted on myself and others, but from watching loved ones poison themselves with Pretty Poppy, I can see there's not just a line to be crossed, there's an entire chasm of self-loathing beyond my comprehension. For me, it's about as treacherous to the whole of humanity as Luke Skywalker, battling his way to the heart of the Death Star and high-fiving the Emperor. Of course I'll come to the dark side, my lord. Forgive me, I don't know what I was thinking trusting Yoda and Obi-Wan. Opiates? Never. Well, not on purpose anyway. There was this one time. I'd been up all night celebrating my 22nd birthday amongst the comfortable bosom of my fellow riffraff at a familiar rave haven, the West Indian Centre in Chapeltown, a ghetto area just outside of the city with a formidable reputation as the vice capital of Leeds. Drugs, guns, prostitution, street crime, illegal immigrants, the whole enchilada. No cake with candles or nicely wrapped presents do I receive or desire. What I want is exactly what I get. Preyed upon by friends and chemical distributors, armed with an assorted arsenal of narcotics to corrupt the birthday boy. Pink champagne, amphetamine bombs, cocaine from the doorman, ecstasy pills shoved down my throat, space cookies, and an abundance of birthday lines of ketamine, all washed down with red stripe lager and fetid water tainted with either methylene methamphetamine or MDMA, and GHB for good measure. Some of my soon-to-be family in the audience, and I apologise for you hearing this for the first time. Sorry about that. As the climax of the night draws near, turning into early morning, I decide to purchase a very special birthday treat of my own. A little drop of heaven from Jack the Hat's little pipette of pink liquid LSD. Yet again I have to skip. And then I walk home about 9 miles. Eventually, around 7 in the morning, I arrive home feeling satisfied and proceed to linger outside on my porch with a pre-rolled joint. One which I left hidden inside the kitchen earlier for when I returned home, heavily bastardised and completely off my pickle. Also, a fresh cup of tea to quench my thirst and soothe my spongy tongue. I stand there, limply perched, as the sun ascends higher and higher into the morning horizon, resembling a lunar disco ball emanating rays of glitter into the serene sky of smeared reds, orange, pinks and gold. A whole spectrum of vividly merging colours that wouldn't appear incongruous in a Van Gogh or Monet or Sidhard mystery. Finishing the remnant dregs of my brew, I extinguish the smouldering butt end on the wall and marvel as tiny sparks descend to the floor like tiny asteroids, followed by flaming trails in their wake, exploding frantically like fireworks on final impact around my aching feet.